Okay, let's shift to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have hired Nick Sirianni to be their next head coach. Nick Sirianni is the former Indianapolis Colts offensive coordinator from this past year. And look, I don't hate this hire, but I don't love this hire either. I'm kind of in the middle with it, you know. Look, Nick Sirianni did not call plays with the Indianapolis Colts this past year, but that's really not a huge knock on him, you know. People get scared off when you say, oh, he didn't call plays. Well, Bill Belichick never has really called plays. Jimmy Johnson wasn't a great play caller, you know, so you don't need to be a great play caller to become a great head coach. A head coach needs to be a leader of men, a leader of a 53-man locker room, you know, and they need to win football games. So, look, I don't hate the hire, but I don't love it either. You know, this all really comes down to this one deciding factor. Can Nick Sirianni get the most out of Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts? Because it looks like that's what he was brought in to do, because obviously Frank Reich used to be the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Carson Wentz, when he was the offensive coordinator, put up MVP numbers, lit the league on fire, showed great promise and potential. And Carson Wentz, ever since Frank Reich has not been by his side as the offensive coordinator, he's gotten worse and worse and worse as a quarterback. So, ultimately, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are really banking on Nick Sirianni to come in and help fix Carson Wentz. I just don't really know where Carson Wentz's head is at right now. Ultimately, he played bad this year. He's going to really have to prove me wrong at this point going forward. You know, I never was the biggest Carson Wentz fan, but now I'm really at ease with Carson. I'm really uneasy with Carson Wentz. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know why he fell off so badly. You know, people could talk about his lack of supporting cast, but I look at Joe Burrow, I look at Justin Herbert, I look at Deshaun Watson, and those three quarterbacks did not have a lot of support around them. They still put up great numbers and balled out this year. So, if you're Philadelphia, because you paid Carson Wentz so much money, because you're virtually stuck with him, because that contract is not necessarily untradeable, but very hard to, you know, get away from, you need to find a way to try to get the most out of Carson Wentz, okay? Or either Jalen Hurts. So, I like the fact that they're going with a guy that can potentially help out their quarterback room. And the one other thing that I will push back on Philadelphia is I will say this. I hope they did not hire Nick Sirianni to be the yes man for Howie Roseman. Because Howie Roseman, he's a bullish guy. He likes to have power. He's not drafted well as of late. And ultimately, I think Howie Roseman is the biggest problem in Philadelphia right now because he's not drafted well. This roster's not good. And he's the GM. He's in charge of putting the talent on the field. He's in charge of evaluating these players. He's in charge of these contracts. He's in charge of hiring these head coaches. So ultimately, Howie Roseman, you better get this right, because if you don't get this right, then you're probably out the building. So ultimately, we'll see what Nick Sirianni does. I don't think this hire is terrible. I think that Nick Sirianni definitely has some potential as a head coach, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Nick Sirianni as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach. By the way, last point, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles got the ideal person that they wanted for this job, because it's a difficult task to take over this football team, because you have a bad offensive line, an old aging roster, not a ton of good young contracts, a lot of old aging players. Like I said, this roster's a mess. Philadelphia's not close to winning a Super Bowl. So ultimately, hey, Nick Sirianni, I'm happy you have a head coaching opportunity. I wish you the best, but your job is kind of hard, man. So we'll see how he does. But I actually don't feel terrible about this hire. We'll see how it goes. That's my thoughts on Nick Sirianni going to Philadelphia. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.